Hello, and welcome back to the Who Are You podcast. I'm your host, Connor Overbay. You don't see the co-host with us today because we got a full house, but Shannon is behind the camera. Welcome to episode 172 of the Who Are You podcast. It's crazy to hear that number keep growing. And thank you guys for checking out all of our content. And while you guys are checking us out, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow all of the social media channels. It's going to be at Who Are You Pod from everything from Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. You guys know where to find us nowadays. Also, if you guys are also checking out those channels, hit the link tree. Go check out our YouTube. It's going to be Who Are You podcast. You guys will be able to see some more behind the scenes stuff. Me and Shannon got some other fun content coming up here soon, so make sure you guys keep an eye out on there. But today, sitting down with two very, very special guests. One of my biggest episodes, actually. You guys are seeing some people from the Wind Down Wednesday Fest, Old Sole as well. There's a lot of new things going on. Welcome, Dr. Dom and Khalliah. Thank you so much for taking the time. Yes. Khalliah, did I say your name wrong?
Khalliah.
I'm sorry, Khalliah. That was my fault there. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Obviously, you know, if you guys are following them on social media, you guys are seeing the clothing brand come out. You guys are seeing all kinds of really things. I've seen music kind of popping up here and there. A new baby popping up. Life's been crazy. Welcome back, y'all.
Thank you for having us. We're excited. You said it was a year since the last time we met, so that's cool. A lot has happened in a year.
I believe it.
For sure.
Last time you guys were on, we were talking about like Wind Down Wednesday, Wind Down Fest and everything, and all kinds of different stuff. So it's awesome to have you guys back on. But before we get too far into the whole conversation, if you guys want to let them know where you can follow you guys, anything you want to promote, anything at the beginning here, go ahead.
Oh, ladies first.
Okay, you're fine.
Yes. Once again, my name is Khalliah, and you can find me on Instagram, Wiz Khalliah, and you can follow my business page, More Life Wellness LLC.
There you go.
Yep.
Tap in, and it's Dr. Dom. Instagram is, I always mess this up. My personal page is like DRDOM04. The underscore is at the front of the back somewhere.
One of those places.
It's
somewhere.
Underscore somewhere in there.
Dr. Dom.
Yeah, you type it in, you see a cartoon, you know it's me. And when it comes to my business is Old Sole LLC. Website www.oldsolellc, and it's the same for the Instagram. So.
Hell yeah, y'all. And like I said, a lot has happened in a year. I've been, keeping up with everybody. Obviously, life gets busy, but it's always awesome to see, from our last interview, hearing what you guys were talking about and seeing it actually happen is my favorite thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We have a lot of people who come on the podcast and say all these things they're going to do, and then, they tailor off over time. I'm like, what happened? Obviously, I'm just, just peeking from behind, from social media and stuff. I'm like, oh, whatever happened to them? Right. But you guys have been putting in that sweat equity. You guys have been working your butts off from everything I'm seeing. It's awesome, by the way. Congratulations on the new baby, by the way. I say that's awesome. You guys have 2 children now, correct?
Yep. Got 2.
We got a 5-year-old and a 6-month-old.
Yep.
That's crazy, y'all.
Yes, it is.
And now you have one of each.
One of each, and that's it.
That's it? No more?
We're going to hold it down.
Okay.
With this one. We're like.
Yeah, nah, man.
I understand. How old are you, both of you guys again?
33.
Okay, good for you all, man. Like I said, I love to hear it. Obviously, a young family. How's it been, having a 5-year-old and then having now a 6-month-old? How's it been juggling that with, work, life, business, all that stuff?
I feel like it's actually been like a really good transition.
It has, yeah.
Something was, I think, so we had our first baby in 2020. So that was already stressful. Quarantine, lockdowns, all of that. So this go round, I think, obviously we're more mature and we're older and we're more established. And so it was just a really smooth transition. And even the birthing experience was different. So,
good for y'all.
Yeah.
Everything went smooth, no issues on that. Good for you. Good for you.
Everything went so well. And we have way more support, way more community to lean on, and so that's been the biggest thing, honestly.
It takes a village. It definitely does. Obviously, with even me growing up, and I'm sure y'all growing up, right? Aunties, uncles, all that kind of stuff, being around. Even they may not be actually blood related, but they are family to you because you grew up with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it was the same with my family. They had their friends that I still know to this day, 26 years later, and they're still involved in life. So it's good to have that support system. And you guys obviously have your families here and everything, right? right? So they're helping out, or did I hear a parent came down for a little bit?
Yeah. So our family actually isn't here, so that's what made being parent so difficult.
Gotcha.
That put a lot of stress in our relationship early on. So her family is from Tifton, Georgia.
Okay.
And my family's from Nashville.
Oh, okay.
So we, on the second go around, we had her mom come down a lot more within the last 2 years or so. She's been really supportive. And we've just, our community has grown. So we've got more friends. Her best friend Carissa is super, super helpful. We just have friends who we can lean on. And again, we're more mature, and we kind of have figured out the parenting thing to a degree. And our 5-year-old is pretty helpful.
Yes, he is.
He is pretty helpful.
He is. He thinks he's a part of it. He's a part of the parenting plan. So.
Exactly.
But that's good. It's good that you guys have that all going, and your son's all into it and everything. And at least there's enough of an age gap, right? It's not both kids are in diapers. Dealing with all that. I'm sure the nightly feedings. I know there's a schedule on how things go, so it can get tiresome. But that's cool that you guys are making it work. And obviously, it's your second go around, right? I'm sure the first one, obviously I'm not a father in any way, but that first go around, you're like, what am I doing? They don't give they don't really hand you a book, say, hey, this is how you take care of a kid. Kind of figure it out on your own.
Yeah. It was just kind of, you're just winging it. And especially if you're coming from a background of like trauma or like dysfunctional families,
of course,
that places a burden on things as well. And then mental health plays a big part too. So I went through real bad postpartum depression during that time as well. So we overcame that.
Good for you.
I think we have a great testimony about, why it's important to take care of each other, why it's important to support each other in your marriage, why it is important to have community and people in your lives that care about you and things like that. So
no, that's a beautiful thing.
And God.
That's right.
And God.
No, that's and even recently, as we're talking about big changes, like I just got baptized. I got baptized when I was a teenager, but it was more so like out of obligation. So we're just kind of really closing up a lot of loops this go around. And just, rededicating our family to Christ, dedicating ourselves to Christ. So that's what we've been on.
Good for you. That's beautiful, And like my family's definitely a church family. My mom's a deacon at a church and did the whole thing. And it's beautiful that you guys are, figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Obviously, I'm like, for me personally, right? I'm not super religious. The way I look at it is like, it's great. If it gives you power, it gives you structure, all that thing is amazing, right? And I kind of model my life somewhat behind it, right? Like I look at it as, do like as someone is watching you, right?
Yep.
And that's character.
Right.
Doing the right things when no one else is watching,
Yep.
right? And you were talking about community. That's a great community to be around, right? I'm sure there's mothers, fathers in there that can help and, get in there and get more community around you. So it's a beautiful thing. That's awesome that you guys are doing that and, making your way around. So I love to hear it.
Yeah, man, for sure.
And when you were talking about the mental health factor right there, I've heard about postpartum, right? Obviously, I'm a man. I'm not going to be giving birth, but I have heard, different stories of things like that. What do you feel like kind of really helped kind of get you more grounded and back to, I don't know if it's normal, but like, back to your old self that you felt like before the pregnancy and everything?
Well, that's the thing. You don't go back to normal.
Okay.
It's done. And it can be in a good way. It could be in a bad way, just depending on your birthing experience, your pregnancy experience. And that's because of like the science behind it. Like physiologically, your whole being changed. And we already regenerate new cells every 7 years anyway, but that is different because you're regenerating new cells and building bones,
creating a person,
right?
Exactly.
And so the hormonal aspect of it, you're like, you just hit the super peak that just, and then your hormones are crashing and then they peak again and they crash. And so it takes up to 2 to 7 years to really truly feel back to normal after pregnancy.
I didn't realize it was that long of a process.
Recent studies extended it, extended it to 7 years. 2 years, they say, because, your hormonal, like iron levels level out after a year. And it's crazy because they only give you like 6 weeks to recover
That's crazy.
or go back to work here in the US. So, but yeah, to your point about like how that experience is it's up and down. It's a roller coaster. Like I said, you never really go back to normal.
I mean, after pushing a human being out of my body, I don't know if I would ever be back to normal. So I can definitely feel
you find some sense of normalcy,
of course,
but to expect yourself to bounce back or go back to the person you were before, you know, I don't think any mom should set that expectation for themselves, because you just come out on the other side just a different person. And so it's really important that moms have support, and moms have people around them that are listening to them, and not just come around when the baby gets here. So.
Yeah. And obviously you guys have each other, right? You know, obviously every time I've seen you guys, you know, whether it was at the Safe House when we really first met or like past interviews or events and things, like I've always seen you guys as a very strong relationship, right? And that's awesome. You know, it reminds me of me and Shannon, like you guys are supposed to be able to fill each other's cup and, you know, be there for that person. And this is something I've been bringing up to people a lot, right? Is a lot of people think marriage is 50-50. It's not. You know, some days you're 80, you're 20. Some days you're 80, you're 20. And you're picking up that slack for each other. And I think that's cool when two people can come together. You know, you guys might not be happy with each other at that particular moment. You know, me and Shannon bicker, all that kind of stuff. But still being there for each other, even in hard times. Exactly. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And like I said, congratulations on that, by the way. Super. Another life in the world. So it's cool.
We are here repopulating.
Hey.
I know, right. Populating the earth.
And that's what, like, we were talking before the podcast started, like me and Shannon are talking about starting a family here soon, and it's like, you know, like I still feel like I'm 18 years old in my mind.
We do too.
You know, and I'm sure you do, right? Like,
I
like when people say age is just a number, I'm starting to really feel that now, like getting closer to my 30s, and I'm like, damn, it really feels like just 2 days ago I was 18, moving out of like the house and trying to figure out life.
Who made us the new adults?
Right?
Like, who gave us responsibility?
Who gave us the keys?
Our generation's gonna be fun though. I think we're gonna have a cool generation. You know, we're the next ones up when it comes to businesses. You know, changing the world. And speaking of the business side of things, let's talk about Old Sole. You know, I've been really excited to sit down and talk about this. I've seen you guys. What was the news going on? First Coast Living. Yeah. I've seen you guys on a couple different things. So how's it been, you know, dropping everything? What's the response been from the community? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. It's been fun. It really has been fun. This is something I've been really working on for years. I think I might have shared on the last interview, maybe 2019 was when I really got back into it, kind of pushing forward with the dream. And for it to be 2025 now, and now we're actually doing the thing, it feels great. Like, and really when things really changed after Wind Down, right? So we did our last Wind Down at the end of 2024 around November. And then around that time we decided like we need to take a little break. Everybody was like, you know, we need to take a break, you know? And like literally right after that, you know, I feel like God was telling me like, hey man, it's time for you to make the main thing, right? So I remember like December the 1st, I met up with my boy Vic, Metamorphic, and Sam, his wife, and you know we literally met at Brew for like 5-6 weeks straight. You know, they were like really like an extremely important creative team. Like did all the videography, all the photography initially, and we just sat together. We really got to know each other during that time. Like we all poured into each other, like when it comes to our individual businesses and collectively. And I feel like it really set us both up for 2025. Like, you know, seeing everything that Vic is doing, how crazy he's been going with his work. And I remember him telling me like 2025, I'm gonna be on top. You know what I'm saying? And you know, he'd be a great person to have on here, honestly.
Oh yeah,
man.
Put in a word for me.
Man, no, for sure.
Let me know.
For sure, man. But yeah, like I remember all those conversations and all the work that we put in, and you know, the year started and we literally filmed maybe like a month worth of content in December, and the plan was to like really release the brand at the start of 2025. Things just kept getting delayed. I was working on getting samples from the manufacturers that didn't come back correctly. I was still working on, everything associated with the footwear and such, and the storytelling. So like that was the first part of the year, really like building the story. And it just so happened that we were actually ready around my birthday.
Okay.
Right. So like the brand actually released on my birthday.
Nice.
And it was super special. It was on time. And it was just really a blessing to be able to bring something forth into the world that I've been working on for years on my birthday.
And the community response was crazy.
That's awesome.
Like really good positive response. It was cool to see.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Like with each drop, we get more and more support. I feel really, really good about the product that we've been putting together, the creation that we've put together, and we're in a space now. I guess, 3-4 months in. It's crazy. Only 3 months in is crazy.
Yeah.
Only 3 months in, and honestly, the way it feels like, hey, just don't stop. And you'll reach every single goal and beyond that you have in front of you. So, just really blessed, honestly.
No, and like I said, congrats. Like I do pay attention, right? Like that's the thing about me. I'm always on social media, just kind of seeing what past guests are doing and everything. And everything I've seen you post, like I've seen the Jarrett Walker, like you guys were riding around the bikes, doing your thing on there. I think that's cool. And Jarrett, I've actually met him. I met him at Safe House when the art critique and everything. And it's cool that you're out there telling those stories as well, like making that a part of the brand. I think that's a very important thing to do, is tell these stories. Obviously, that's what I do as well. But getting out there, telling the stories about places that many people probably wouldn't even know about unless you brought it up to them.
Exactly.
And it's cool to see, like, every time I see you post something, the amount of support that I see in, like, the comments, everything that you guys are dropping, it's really cool to see. And I've seen, like, Broadway Louie going out there and modeling for you guys. What is the girl's name with the blonde dreads?
Grody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've seen Grody going around doing that stuff too. It's awesome. Like I said, that support is huge. So obviously, like I've seen a couple different things. I saw, is it Hootie that did the embroidery on the hats?
Yes,
okay,
Hootie does all the work on the hats.
That's what I thought I saw. I was like, that's freaking cool too. So you're using people or working with people around town and spending money in town. That's a huge thing, right? A lot of people are like, why don't I go to some multi-billion-dollar company and spend money with them? Why not keep it in the community where that dollar actually means something, right?
For sure.
These guys are multi-billionaires. A couple extra $100 is like, whatever. So I think that makes it even more special. And I think that's the cool thing about Jacksonville now. It's become a very collaborative city. Everybody's working together now, whether it's through podcasting, clothing, art. Everybody's really coming together. And I love to hear that, they're supporting someone local here. So congrats on that, man. You guys are killing it. And I think this stuff's awesome. I'm definitely going to be going and buying a hat here soon. Shannon, if you go into the bedroom over there, I have a hat wall, about 30 different hats. I'm a big hat guy. I'm 99% of the time I'm wearing a hat, so I'll definitely be coming through. I actually don't own any fitted hats. I need to get my head measured. I got a big ass head, so I gotta go figure it out. But so what's the story behind the name Old Sole?
Yeah, man, I love that question. So I think that it was 2019 when it all came together. How Old Sole began, obviously, it's surrounded around footwear. So I took a course in my residency where I learned about some new information about how the foot works. And after learning this information, I had like a brain blast. I feel like Jimmy Neutron. I was like, man, I finally have what I need to make this shoe. And I literally went and bought a notebook. And what was cool about this time was that notebook and the shoe got me back into artwork.
Okay.
Because I've always been in art. As a kid, I drew and I painted, and I had moved so far away from it because I was a physical therapist and I was on this medical path and such, and I was just working. I was just a working man, and the shoes brought me back to art.
Nice.
So it brought me back a little piece of myself, a little piece of my childhood. So I got the notebook, and the first thing I was drawing was like research based. I was drawing the foot over and over again, and all the science behind it. And then I started the next couple of pages, I started to draw shoes, and my initial inspirations were classic silhouettes. I've always been a very classic person. I think I've always loved classic silhouettes with footwear and those kind of things that were timeless. So I just started to draw, and I was thinking like, how can I put together an identity for this brand, right? So I thought about classic, I thought about antique, and then I also thought about the community that I was trying to serve. So, and this is kind of funny, like I was wanting to make shoes for my patients, right? But I also wanted them to be fashionable for, our generation. So, so no ageism, but the term old came up. I was like, you know what I mean? So I was like, old, I was old, classic. That was making sense. And then as I started to like draw up the logo, I was thinking about classic. I was thinking about past time frames and such. And I looked at the Soul Train logo.
Oh, okay.
So if you look at the text on the, it's kind of similar to how Soul Train it looks. So that was my initial inspiration. So I looked at the logo, and then I started to draw it out, and then Old Sole came to me, right? And then obviously old and soul, so sole of the foot, SOLE. So because the foot and me creating shoes that would improve the sole of the foot was my initial thought process. So now getting to like some of the specifics of the meanings, if I just kind of told that story. So we have Old Sole, meaning, in regards to the foot, it's like we are trying to return the foot to its old or its natural state, right? That's where Old Sole comes in from the orthopedic and the footwear standpoint. Now, as we get to the stories and culture, we want to tell those old soulful stories. So it's like all the stories that we led with were just important aspects of Black history, specifically in Jacksonville. So it's like we want to educate, in my heart, I'm an educator. As a physical therapist, I'm an educator. No matter what, I can't get away from education. And I truly believe that the way that we all can grow is through knowledge. Like knowledge is power. So I really want to take the time to make sure that we know where we come from. We're here in Jacksonville. We should know about what's happened here, and there's so much that's uncovered. So that's a huge part of my mission, is to just continue to tell those old soulful stories while we move towards creating products that will push us towards the future of footwear.
No, that's amazing. And with like learning the old stories of Jacksonville, right, and like Black history and everything, is there anything that you've learned from doing this that you had no idea about, or something that maybe threw you off? You're like, oh wow, I didn't know that happened here. Kind of thing.
I mean, literally everything. You know what I mean? Like I really learned like Jacksonville is a very special place. I was recently reading some information about a brother named Pat Chappelle. So Pat Chappelle, he was around like in the early 1800s. I mean, like the late 1800s, and he had one of the first like musical companies. He was like one of the first Black men to have a musical company in the South. He was in Jacksonville. It was called the Rabbit's Foot.
That's cool.
That's one piece of information. One of the first Black millionaire in Florida was a guy named A.L. Lewis. Okay. And he was the individual who created American Beats out of Fernandina. So American Beats was originally the only beats that Blacks would go to, like in the South. So, like so all of like the famous entertainers from the early 1900s, that was the beats that they can go to.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's like, this is in Jacksonville. Like there's so much, I think Betsy Coleman. I don't want to. So the first Black female pilot, right? She died in Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, right.
Huh.
Yeah. So Jacksonville was really, really big in movies and theater in the early 1900s.
It was like original Hollywood almost, right?
It was supposed to be Hollywood,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And so the plans were for it to be Hollywood. So like there was a lot of film happening. So she actually died on a movie set. She was filming, she was flying a plane and the plane crashed and she died, right?
Really?
So yeah, so for me, I'm an outsider. I'm not from Jacksonville. So with me digging up all this history, like Jacksonville is a very, very special place in America when it comes to history. And it's cool. I think that we're in such a cool space nowadays because, the growth of Jacksonville has been blocked for so many years because of how the city's infrastructure is, the Baptist church having all the land and such. And now Jacksonville is at a point now where we can actually grow.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why we couldn't have Hollywood. That was the reason why we couldn't have Disneyland. And it's like it's 2025, and all of this rich history of Jacksonville is actually about to, come to fruition. So, and we're here and we're doing it. So it's
bursting
like
at the seams at this
exactly.
point.
So Jacksonville's a special place. It really, like for me being an outsider and seeing the creatives and everything, this is special. Like Jacksonville is no different from like Miami or Nashville or Atlanta or New York. I feel like Jacksonville can actually become a city on the national stage when we actually get a chance.
No, and I totally agree with you. And like I that's why I love this city so much, right? Like from before I started this, obviously I was growing up, I wasn't the biggest fan of Jacksonville, right? It's your hometown. You live here your whole life. You're like, I want to get out of here. I want to go see something different. And me and Shannon have been lucky enough to go to multiple different places, right? And see some cool things. But I always get brought back to Jacksonville because we have so much here. The history here is crazy. Just through sitting down and talking with so many different people here, learning, like, I didn't know half the things you just said about Jacksonville. Like, that's an amazing thing. And it's cool to learn that history, right? Especially Black history, right? A lot of it gets whitewashed out. A lot of inventors of things were whitewashed out because of slavery times, and also just people not wanting to say a Black person found this or founded this thing. And it's cool that you guys are putting that out there, because everybody should be given the credit that they deserve, no matter like race, color, nationality, or religion. Everybody deserves their cut. So it's cool that you guys are telling that story, and I find it very interesting to learn these kinds of things, right? Obviously I'm a white guy, as you guys can see here, but like growing up here, right? Like I went to Sandalwood High School, predominantly Black school, played sports, all that kind of stuff. And that was the kind of the part that really kind of changed me when it came to learning about different cultures, right? Going to a home that's different than me. I may look different than the people there, but it's cool to see the cultures, right? Exactly. Going to the cookouts, going and meeting different kinds of people. It's very interesting to see how other cultures interact, how other people, even the food, right?
Yeah.
I grew up, don't laugh. don't y'all laugh. Grow up with the underseasoned chicken, blah, 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 all that bullshit. Hey, you can ask Shannon, I can cook some good food. I got some flavor. I got some flavor. Okay. But that's like the coolest.
Let me take your pantry.
Hey, there's more than just salt and pepper in there. There's some other things in there. Some Old Bay, some other things. But it's just cool getting out in the community, right? Because Jacksonville does have a rich history. Getting out there, learning about people. We actually have one of the highest Filipino populations in all the United States. I learned that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I learned that from what was his name?
Fat Boy Fried Rice?
Fat Boy Fried Rice talked to us about that. And then another guy, Eat Your Content. I'm sorry that I'm forgetting. Rich Hyera. Shout out to Rich. He's Filipino himself and was talking to me about all the different kinds of food in Jacksonville. And it's literally a melting pot. Or I kind of compare it to like New York, right? You go to different boroughs and there's so many different kinds of people depending on where you go. So no, that's amazing that you guys are doing that. And to talk more about the shoes, right? So obviously they're 3D printed, and I believe you were talking about on a video I watched, you do that because one, it's more environmentally friendly, or if you don't mind explaining that to me.
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, the first reason that we got into 3D printing was because it was accessible, right? I had a dream to create a shoe, and I said, all right, so how can we actually get this done? I actually took a sneaker course with Sole Collector, where it was like online, where I just learned about the process of sneakers and the history. So that gave me a lot of information about the production process and how shoes are made. So I was able to mix my knowledge of how the foot and such works with how the sneaker industry actually runs. So as I was doing my research, I realized that making shoes are expensive. So let's say, I wanted to create an actual shoe. Let's say I wanted to create those Hey Dudes, right? So, and I wanted to have 12 different sizes. So how it works is each size, has a mold, or has a metal mold and a last, right? And then they're mass produced. So you have the sole, you have all the knitting and all the things. And if I wanted to go to a manufacturer and get an actual shoe made and get a mold, those molds can be upwards of anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 per size.
Oh,
so to get into the footwear industry and to make your actual standard footwear, it's pretty expensive, right? So that was my first thought process. Say, all right, I want to make shoes, but I can't actually do it this way. So I'm learning more and more about what's going on, and so for one, in the course mentioned a little bit about 3D printing. And so I was thinking about it at the time, but my mind really expounded on 3D printing when I met one of my good buddies, Joshua Douglas. He's an engineer. he was the first engineer that I met who could really like have a conversation with me and help me with the thought process of it, because I knew I needed an engineer to kind of help expand my mind.
Of course.
And he does a lot with 3D printing. He's 3D printing a lot of different things, and we've been on the same kind of product arc since we've met, like back in 2019 or 2020. So as we first met, and he was 3D printing, and I was hearing about him, I was like, okay. So that kind of clicked. I was like, okay, I learned that we can 3D print footwear in this course. I just met this guy who's already into 3D printing. So I said, all right, well, I need to get me a 3D printer. So I eventually got one. I'm trying to think if I already had one. Cause I met Josh in 2020.
You did not have one yet.
Okay, just make sure. Yeah, so I've known him for so long. I think about it. It's like so then I finally get a 3D printer because I realized that this was the way that I could get into the game in a sustainable way. So it is more eco friendly because again, you think about the mass production of footwear, there's a lot of electricity and power utilized when you're having to get something sent from overseas. That's inefficient. So being able to produce something here locally is the goal in the thought process. So that's the primary reason, and it's like something I could do at the house. So we've been working through printers and trying to get things figured out, and the end goal is to be able to create a manufacturing process here in Jacksonville. So as we've been testing, as we've been figuring things out, just recently got a new printer, the Bamboo Lab H2D. So Bamboo Lab is like the top 3D printing manufacturers, pretty much around. They make the most reliable 3D printers. So they finally made a big one. So they made this big one, and I was lucky enough to get an investment from my uncle to be able to get a 3D printer. And it seems to be about a production level. So the hope is, we will, so between like me and Greg and Sean and Josh as well, like, being able to get to a point to where we can manufacture anything via 3D printing on a larger scale. So would hope, so the goal is by the end of the year for these to be ready.
Yeah.
So these currently take about 2 days to make.
Oh, wow.
I'm actually about to, 2 days per shoot, right?
Yeah.
But I'm actually about to, try a new filament that should be a little bit faster. And the thought process is, all right, well, if they take about 2 days to make, for repair or whatever, so we get 4 to 5 printers. Now we can make, 5 shoes a day.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever my math is, I don't know if my math is off, but
you're fine.
Yeah. But essentially, yes. So it's like, from that standpoint, we can start locally and say, all right, you want some shoes, it'll kind of just be like if you ordered a pair of shoes offline. So it takes about 2 weeks for you to get them. So somebody said, hey, let's say somebody in Georgia is like, I want a pair of shoes. I'm like, all right. I will probably take a limited order. So maybe we're only taking 10 orders at a time.
Yeah.
We take 10 orders at a time. We know that we can get these shoes out in about 2 weeks or so, and then we'll get them to the customers. But we're still very much in the research and development phase right now.
Of course. And it's amazing, like I said, seeing what you guys have been doing. Like, I know the amount of time, and I was talking to you about the business me and my dad started and Shannon started, right? And just looking at all the different kinds of products and going on and talking to these vendors, right, that make all of these things. It's just like there's 20 billion things that you can look at and trying to perfect. But that's amazing that you're wanting to do it here locally, right? Is your house just full of all the plastic and everything to get everything?
My room, my office.
Yeah, until he prints something and then it ends up a part of the decor.
It's okay.
I'll say that, which is cool because now we're like getting into printing things for our son.
Yeah.
And he just printed out a Lego version of Ari.
Oh.
And he was just like so excited, and hearing him talk about just 3D terminology in general. Like, yeah, we're on the right track.
That's cool. You're seeing
for the
things
future, though,
build.
like,
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like 3D printing is still a young thing, right? It hasn't been around for 40 years, 50 years, anything. This is still new technology. And did I see that? Do you use AI to help with like building the process for the shoe, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah. So not so much for the shoes. So like when it comes to 3D printing and modeling, there's a couple different ways that you can do it, right? So with these shoes, how we got these done. So I actually started with a drawing.
Okay.
So started with a drawing, drew it up in every single angle. I drew from a top view, from a side view, from the back, and then I linked up with a CAD designer, and said, okay, and I gave him all the information. He then took my drawing and made it into reality, right? So I kind of gave him all the specs and those kind of things, and he was able to create the footwear. And then over the course of like a year and a half, 2 years, we've just been refining and changing and shifting the model. I've worn it, felt this way, and got back to him. We made those changes. So that's one way that we can get it done, because CAD design is a very skillful process. It's kind of intricate, and it's a learning curve.
Gotcha.
But with AI, you've probably seen the AI aspect with what we were doing with the kids. So Greg Rogers, he found his partnership with Meshy AI, and Meshy AI is a CAD design software that has an AI interface. So essentially, what we do with the kids, for example, you can put in prompts to make certain things, to make the designs. You can put in pictures and such. So it's like, if I want to make a shoe, I can take a picture of a shoe and put it in the Meshy AI and say, make a CAD for me, so, and then it can do it. Now, the thing is, now all the intricacies and such that we have into this shoe, you would then have to do some editing yourself, like in Blender or some actual 3D design software to actually refine it. But it really gives you a leg up on the actual design process if you're able to use AI for sure.
Nice. I'm gonna have to have you point that mic a little bit. You're fine. I just want you to be comfortable. You're good. I saw you lean in just to make sure you're comfortable in your chair. Sure. But no, it's like that whole world. Like, I've started to learn more about AI. I've had a couple guys on where they've really just gone on and like told me everything that's possible with it. It's crazy to see. Like, we're really in the future now, right? Like,
future.
I remember growing up, right? Like, I still remember landlines, dial up internet, all that kind of stuff now. Right, and like, we're sitting here with phones that are 10 times the power of the computers that we had when we were kids. It's crazy to see. What would you say was the hardest part of designing the shoe, or getting it created? What would you say was one of the more difficult parts?
Oh, 3D printing, man. 3D printing is a beast. Oh my God! Like, designing is easy. Designing. Designing is where I'm at in my heart. I love designing. Designing is easy for me. I have ideas. I want to take an idea and bring it to fruition. But learning about 3D printing was tough. Like, I spent the first year with a 3D printer. It took me like almost a year to get my first print complete, because with 3D printing, the machine that you have, it's such a learning curve. Like, with the early machine I had in 2022 was an Anycubic 3D printer, and like the interface is so difficult at times. Like, the X and the Y axis, and you have to get the bed level just right. It has to be the right temperature. You have to make it stick. So sometimes you have to use glue to make sure it adheres to the bed, because with 3D printing, once that material comes out, it has to stick to the bed. Okay. Right? So if the temperature in the room is off, if the temperature on the machine isn't right, if you don't have enough adhesive, if your settings are off, there's so many things that can screw up your print. So many. So with working with the standard machines, I had 2 different machines, and it took me literally 2 years to get comfortable enough to actually make a shoe. You screw up over and over and over again, no matter how many YouTube videos you watch. It takes a long, long time, because there's like literally, there might be 100 different settings that you can manipulate to make sure that the print is viable and it works. So like, I worked with these cheaper machines for 3 years, and then now I'm able to work with a more expensive machine that is plug and play now. Yeah. So it's like, if I had that from the get go, I would have been able just to print. But again, I wouldn't have learned. I wouldn't have learned like the process. So now I can teach it. Yeah. I would teach kids. I could explain all different things to them so they really understand it. And I understand the process. So it makes it a lot easier. But 3D printing for sure was the hardest part of the whole process, for sure.
Oh, I can believe it. I've never even touched a 3D printer in my life before, so I wouldn't even know where to start. But no, it's like the learning process, right? With me, like, whenever I started the podcast, I got the Rodecaster board and then 2 microphones. I was like, I wanted something as easy as possible for me, because no audio, no video editing background, all that stuff. So this is all self-taught. It's cool that you took those extra steps, right? I feel like that's the actual sweat equity that you have to put in, and then you're like, okay, I did start here. Now I know what works, and if it was worth investing in the money into it, right? Because that was my big thing. I didn't want to throw like 10 grand into a studio and whatever it was. And then like say I either fall out of love with it or it just didn't turn into anything, you know, so I can definitely understand that. And, you know, working with the 3D printing and everything, is he talking to you about it and you're like, what?
Yes, but I've seen him go through the process too, and I'm a creative at heart.
Of course.
I'm understanding exactly like what he's saying. I'm like, dang, I wish I can help because I don't know.
She's a lot more like technologically advanced than I am.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure for her it's funny to see me.
He's just like that.
Yeah, she's way more advanced than me with that stuff, right?
That's me and Shannon. Shannon hates computers, so she's like, I want to help and everything, and I'm like, baby, it's gonna take me a little bit of time to show you how to do all this stuff. Just editing an hour-long video can take up to 6-7 hours depending on what it is, and obviously the content you guys put out, I know that takes a lot more time than that, and that was something I wanted to give you guys kudos on. Like every video that you guys have put out for Old Sole and everything, it's beautiful. All the camera work, all the photos, everything looks great. I think y'all's like marketing, everything is really looking good. So it's really cool, like I said, to see from a year ago what you guys were talking about and to see where you guys are now. It's super cool.
Shout out to all the creators we worked with. Shout out to Vic. Shout out to Rakim Izzo, my boy. He did all the visuals on the most recent campaign, but Vic and Sam have been so such an extreme help to Old Sole even becoming a thing. So
yeah,
no, that's awesome. And what's it been like to work with like Greg Rogers and Sean and everything?
Oh yeah, them the homies, man.
They're really good people, man.
For sure. It's funny. I met Greg. So Greg had already been teaching kids about virtual reality and AI and software engineering and those kind of things when I met him. And he already had his own brand. He was already making shoes. So me and my buddy Josh, we were really tight. We were really focused on 3D printing. We were doing a lot of conversations about it. And then we met Greg. One of my frat brothers linked us together because he knew that I was making shoes. So that was how me and Greg got linked up. And we hit it off from the get go, and so we get together and we were talking about 3D printing at the time, and he hadn't got into it just yet, but he's that man there. He's in the future.
I agree.
When it comes to anything, when I first met him, I said, bro, I call him future because he literally knows so much about everything technological. Like he creating apps, like anything involving tech. He on some Steve Jobs stuff. Yeah. He's gonna be somebody who's gonna go down in the history books on that tech stuff for sure. So we initially hit it off in that regard, and I think months later, I met Sean through Wind Down.
Oh, okay.
Right? Actually, I think I met Sean at a party actually one time. I think it was at Nexus. It was random. We were both there. We were two guys there, and we just started talking.
Yeah.
And we got close there, and then I found he was an artist, and then he did Wind Down. And one thing about Sean, I've been saying this about Sean from the get go. Sean is somebody that he doesn't miss out on opportunities. You know what I'm saying? I like to see where he is now. I remember the first Wind Down he did. So we had all of our artists selected for Wind Down, and I had met Sean, and I was the one who chose all the artists, but somebody had dropped out, so I hit him up last minute. It might have been like a couple days before the show, but for him, he hadn't done an art show yet. For real. So for him it was a big opportunity. So he went and that was when he created the piece. He went and he created the piece that week. It was a piece with a young boy and a young girl together. It's super clean, super colorful, and those are some of his best pieces. And he took that opportunity and ran with it.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, a couple months later, he did a piece for Vibe Blob and he stole the show. And next thing you know, boom, he has a shoe out. You know what I mean? And it's Sean is somebody that no matter what, I respect him so much because he doesn't miss out on opportunities. He saw what I was doing my shoes, and we had a conversation about it. And again, he was like, man, I have a dream to make a shoe, and he got it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And since then, like, he was like, hey man, come on, man, get yourself done. We need you. Get out of here. And for me, I was with me doing all the science and all this stuff. Like, it took a little bit more time, but it's so dope that now we're all able to finally collaborate and work together and really take this thing to the next level.
No, when I saw all three, I was like, hell yeah, man. Like, I had talked to Sean and Greg on the podcast, and it was cool, like, hearing their backstories and, as you said about Sean, right, everything. Going and playing college football to going to where he is now, it's crazy. Writing a book, it's amazing to hear all they're doing. And Greg, as you said, very futuristic. Everything I've seen him post. Yeah, like, I've seen even just the little displays, right, with the shoes spinning. And it's like, I was like, I've never seen that before in my life. So no, it's awesome you guys linked up. It's cool to see, like, one of my favorite things from the podcast is seeing people I've talked to both sides and seeing everybody link up and start collaborating with each other. I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, really cool people getting together, working towards the same thing. So it's cool that you guys are supporting each other, getting out, as you guys said, with the community. Excuse me. So obviously with everything that you guys are doing, right, how do you guys find time to, spend family time, right? Juggle everything. Obviously, you both work, right, as well, other than just the business. How do you guys find time to, still spend time together, spend time with the kids, all that kind of stuff?
How you want to?
It's a little different now because my mama here.
Yeah,
hey,
right.
That's real. You got some help. You got the reinforcements.
Yeah, I think we are redefining what that looks like now, because I'm coming out of being like more full-time mom mode. So I'm actually going back into the work field a little bit more with my business and really revamping that up. So it's more so the opposite. It's not that I'm spending less time with the family. It's now I actually have time to think about my passions.
Of course.
And really focus on that now.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've been doing the whole time, being family focused. And I feel like this is our first time really being outside since last year.
Yeah.
Since Wind Down, because I was pregnant on the last podcast we did.
Yeah.
So I was about 5 months? 4 or 5 months pregnant. So that was me getting ready to go, into my hiding. So now it's like, okay, now I'm back.
That's good. And what's the name of your business again? So everybody
More Life Wellness.
That's right. And you're a mental health professional and everything,
Yes.
right? And huge shout out to that. Love therapy is a huge thing. That's still something that's helped me in my life, and it's awesome that you're out there trying to help people do that as well. If you guys ever need help talking to people, I highly recommend it. I think it's a huge thing. It's helped me become more of a happier person. Clean out the cobwebs, or as you were talking about, past traumas. I come from a divorced family, and that's a whole messy thing, and there's a whole thing behind that. And without therapy, I probably wouldn't be talking with you guys today. So it's a good thing that you're going out there and helping the people and fighting the good fight, because we all have our days, right?
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you're 7 feet tall and you think you're the strongest guy in the world. We all get sad, or we all get depressed, or we all question ourselves. So that's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah, we all have minds, and we should treat our minds as we treat the rest of our bodies, our teeth, our hair. We go get checkups for physicals. Why not for your mind and your mental health? So I'm a real big proponent of that. So
hell yeah. Yeah, I am too. Like I said, shout out BetterHelp. So with everything else, right? We were kind of like talking a little bit before the podcast and everything. So what's going on with Wind Down Wednesday? Is there a plan to continue that in the future? Is that more on the back burner for right now? Because obviously you guys have 1,000 things going on. So if you don't mind, let me know what you guys are planning with that.
Yeah, Wind Down's on ice.
Okay.
It's on ice right now. I always joke. I always joke about how Wind Down became like the genie out of the bottle. Once it comes out the bottle, it's hard to put it back in. Yeah. And so it just grew. It grew so big, and we needed to take a step back and for the sake of the team, so that we don't like crash out on each other.
Of course,
and attack one another. I think it was a good time for us to be like, all right, all hands off. Let's let it sit. Let's let it marinate. Let's all go do our own thing real quick, and we'll all come back bigger and better.
Gotcha.
So that's what we all made a really good decision together to do. And so it's really only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be careful not to put a date because people are asking for it.
Of
like
course.
people are like, "Where's Wind Down?"
Yeah.
And we're excited to come back.
Yeah.
We really are. But we know that once we drop that date, like the whole city
is back open.
It's the whole city's gonna come out, and we want to make sure the infrastructure is good.
Yeah.
Because I know we say it was only 5 of us because 5 people is a lot of people.
Yeah.
On a team.
A lot of cooks in the kitchen right there. A lot of different ideas, all that stuff. 100%.
Yeah, but we still, at that point, we were building like other, side teams to go into it to help us, volunteers, just people that believed in the vision and wanted to help out. So we have to work on that. We got to work on, other people running it so that we can actually be more present in the process.
I understand.
Because we were like the cooks in the kitchen and the servers.
Yeah.
And
I believe it. This is something that big. I'm sure, you're getting pulled left and right. All of y'all are probably getting pulled all over the place. And then seeing like Robbie, right? I've seen you guys host and doing things, or Robbie's performing, or DJ Larry Love's performing, doing his thing. So it's a full production of what you guys are doing. So, but it's funny that you guys said, like, people are asking about it. I've had people ask me about it. They're like, have you heard anything about this? I was like, I haven't heard a word. I'm like, obviously, I know y'all are busy.
So just wait on it.
Yeah, no.
Wait, because when it comes, it's all right.
I tried to come out to the last one. I was like, I remember I hit you up. And I was like, hey, I saw the tickets were out. I was like, is there still stuff going on? Yeah. The next one, I promise you I'll make it out there because I want to get out there and go see what everything you guys are doing. All the videos I see, it looks like a great time. I think it'd be an awesome date night to bring the wife out and everything. Yeah. So the next time you guys have it.
In the meantime, I think we'll start small and maybe do a little, a couple sponsorships here and there. You might see a little logo at the bottom of a future event.
I like it.
Sponsored by Wind Down and kind of take it there. Because that's really what we all wanted it to become anyway. It's just a hub of, a hub for creatives to, put them on a platform to help them reach their goals. Yeah. So that's the direction that we're kind of thinking about too. So it's only a matter of time. I think we're all just kind of like, all right, let's
getting that itch back. You're like, all right,
So
it's been good rest, and I said earlier, like I knew that it was the right timing because it's like, okay, now I was able to we all were able to expand and do the things we needed to do, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've been dreaming about my brand for years, but I kept becoming involved with other products that were very, very important, but I wasn't able to really fulfill the main thing. So it's like, and when I told myself, like my personal thing, I was like, all right, I can't get back into Wind Down until the brand is established, right? And until I can actually vend at Wind Down. You know what I mean? So it's like, so it's like setting up the infrastructure for this, and then now we can get back to Wind Down. So we've been like having small conversations. But hey, we just been, we met at the start of the year. We said, all right, we're gonna chill this year, and then we're trying to figure things out. You know what I mean? And we know what, like Khalliah said, we recognize like we want to put on the younger generation. Like we were able to gain our influence and learn from being a part of the Wind Down team. Now we really want some younger, hungry individuals who really would have a desire to run the show. So hey, come on in. We can show you the ropes. Like you said, we can sit back and advise and enjoy, and still be able to have our hands in the pots that are in. Because again, more than anything, the community needs Wind Down.
Yeah,
Wind Down is a community thing, and we know that the community needs it. So it'll definitely come back, but we just have to get our lives and organize and figure it out. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day,
it'll be good timing. Good timing.
I think you guys are gonna have a huge crowd here. I'm like, we're gonna keep it small. I'm like,
right.
I was like, I feel like
that's what I'm worried about.
I feel like, but that's a good thing though.
That's
it means
a good problem to have.
You guys are providing something that is very nuanced, something that Jacksonville hasn't seen before, and I think that's why people love it so much and want to come out there and support you guys and support the vendors out there, and that's really what it all is about, right? It's just helping local Jacksonville, helping as you said, these young bucks get out there and, show what they have, because it's hard nowadays. Everybody is on Instagram. Everybody's on TikTok posting their stuff. Everybody wants to be not center of attention, but put their product out there, right?
Exactly.
And it's hard. It definitely is hard. Obviously, you guys work in the social media game. You guys see what you put out. Same here. We're a drop in the bucket, but putting something out there that actually means something to someone is a huge thing. And every time I see you guys post, nothing but support on there, and it's amazing what you guys are doing. So we are coming to the end of the interview here, and like I said, thank you guys again so much for taking the time out of your day to come hang out with us, and be back for a part 2. I hope there to be a part 3 if you guys are interested. But last time I asked you, do you guys feel successful? Right, that's usually how I end my interviews. But this is your part 2, so I have a different question for an ending question. So it still has to do with the success, and for both of you, now that you guys have been doing this, you guys have your brand out there. Wind Down Wednesday was a huge success. Old Sole is a big success. Obviously, becoming a mother, what does success mean to you now?
Success means listening to your heart's desire and actually following through, and not listening to the world.
Noise.
Yeah, not the noise. And dreaming again.
Yeah.
Like, don't let the dream die, because life is already so crazy, and it's so easy to get caught up in the metrics of the world, but it's just so important to not give up on the things you said you wanted to do.
I like that. I like that. What about you, Dom?
A happy home.
Yeah.
Happy home for sure. I mean, it's like, I think that, no matter what we're involved in outside of the house, it all translates back to what we're doing. And again, if we're happy, if our family's happy, kids are happy, I'm good.
I think that's a beautiful way of saying it, right?
Yep.
Coming home and like that's supposed to be your sanctuary, right? You come home and I come home, see my wife, happy as to see her, got the cat and all that stuff. And I mean, you guys have built a very fruitful life. It's crazy thing. You guys are only 33 years old. You guys have 2 kids. You guys have a business. Obviously, you could both still have your jobs and everything. And both of what you guys have done for your actual job is hard too. Like you guys are very, very busy people. And at least from my outside point of view, it's amazing to see what you guys have done. And you guys should be proud of it and keep pushing, keep doing your thing.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing what, happens in another year, what step you guys are on then, seeing Old Sole out there in magazines or, on the covers of things. So I think you guys are going to keep on killing it. And as I said again, y'all, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure sitting down with you guys again. Thank you so much for giving me some time. But before we get out of here, if you guys want to plug, promote anything you guys want, obviously your businesses, anything, put it all out there.
Tell them where you at.
So I'm actually in a really exciting space in my career right now. So I have a private practice called More Life Wellness right here in Jacksonville in the Springfield Phoenix Arts District. And it's been self-sustaining. Like I've always had a caseload. I haven't had to worry about, where am I going to get my next client from? And I really enjoy doing therapy. But, as an entrepreneur, sometimes it becomes a rat wheel, and you just you just have that pull to do more and more and more. And I think I made that next decision to bring in a student. So
there you go.
I'm doing supervision under my private practice. So I have a student. I'm interviewing for other interns as well.
Good for you.
To bring in the next generation of great therapists. And I'm really excited about that. So
good for you. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And say if someone is interested in that, how can they reach out to you to, do the internships and all that kind of stuff?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me on Instagram. I'm pretty reachable. Like I said, my Instagram is Wiz Khalliah, my personal Instagram, or they can reach out to me on More Life Wellness LLC. My LinkedIn is Khalliah Bryant, and just reach out, say, hey, I heard about that internship. I'm trying to see what it's going to be about. Yeah.
Congrats. That's amazing. Good for you.
Boss status.
That's what I'm saying. Boss status right there. Taking someone under your wing and helping bring in the next generation. Congratulations on that. I'm happy to hear that for you.
Yeah.
What about you, my man?
Oh, damn, what was the question again?
You're good. I would say plug, promote anything you want.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was involved with. Okay,
No, that was awesome. That was amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Dang, So, Old Sole LLC is what we're promoting. That's the website, oldsolellc.com. The Instagram is Old Sole LLC. We just recently did our second drop. So actually this week we'll be getting all the hats to all the people that ordered. Nice. And then we have a lot of the sweats and such coming in a couple of weeks. So we get to people and just continue to stay tapped in for more information. We have a lot more that we're going to be putting out. So just follow the page for more history, for more culture, and for more fashion.
Nice, y'all. Guys, obviously you guys checked out. If you're here at the end of this episode, make sure you guys go follow, like, subscribe on all their social media. If you're interested in anything that we spoke about today, make sure you reach out to them. If you guys reach out to me, I'll definitely be sending you guys their way. Like I said, congratulations on all your success. Thank you again for taking the time, and wish you nothing but more continued success. And again, congratulations on the new baby as well.
Thank you. And
while you guys are in the liking and subscribing mood, make sure you guys give us a follow on the social media. It's going to be at Who Are You Pod, from everything from Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all the normal spots. You guys have listened and known where to find us for a while now. Also, make sure you guys are checking out that YouTube page. We're really trying to grow that page this year. We want to make sure we can try to get closer to that 1,000 followers. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, leave a comment on there. It's going to be Who Are You podcast. It also helps us out, helps us get more amazing guests like we're sitting with today. And then my final thing is, if you feel like you'd be a good fit for the show, you're an entrepreneur, business owner, restaurateur, comedian, athlete, really a mix of anything, and you feel like you'd be a good fit, either hit me up in my DMs on the social media, or you can email me. It's going to be whoareyoupod@yahoo.com, and maybe we'll have you guys on a future episode. But as I say every single week, y'all, thank you so much for checking us out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.